Your silence awoke deep reflections in the heart of that person, and that is exactly why this message reached you today. It was not by chance that you found these words at this very moment. There is something happening behind the scenes of this connection's soul, something that perhaps you still cannot see with your eyes, but which has already begun to move intensely. The distance, the lack of response, the pause that seemed cold or confusing. All of this caused a much greater effect than you imagine, because sometimes it is in silence that truth stops being pushed for later and begins to echo within. What this person used to try to avoid, they can no longer ignore with the same ease. And I will tell you something with complete sincerity. There are situations in which silence does not push away. It forces one to feel. It strips away distractions, dismantles excuses, and makes the mind return exactly to what the heart was trying to hide. In my view, that is what is happening here. This silence was not empty. This silence stirred, provoked, bothered, and made this person think with a depth they previously did not allow themselves to explore. If you are listening to this right now with a heavy heart, stay with me until the end, because this message did not come to increase your anguish. It came to show you that there is movement where you thought there was only coldness. There is reflection where you thought there was indifference. And there is an internal process taking place, even if externally it has not yet appeared the way you would like. The angels show that this person has entered a kind of silent confrontation with their own feelings. It was not something sudden, like a flash that resolves everything in a second. It was more like a rising tide within, little by little, bringing back memories, questions, regrets, and comparisons that they were not prepared to face. What previously seemed controlled has now begun to slip through the cracks of consciousness. And this has left them without the same peace they had before. Have you ever noticed how there are silences that speak louder than 1,000 words? There are absences that become a presence inside someone's mind. There are pauses that make the other person revisit everything they lived, everything they felt, and everything they lost. The angels want you to understand exactly this. Your silence was not ignored. It was felt. It was interpreted. It provoked deep echoes inside that person. Before continuing, write this mantra in the comments. My silence is protected by God and reveals the truth at the right time. Write it with faith, because when we write, it feels like the heart agrees with what heaven is releasing. Now, continuing the message, the angels show that this person began to remember moments that previously seemed simple. Conversations, glances, small gestures, details of your presence, things that perhaps had gone unnoticed when everything was closer. But now, with this absence, everything has gained weight. Everything has taken on a new value. And this happens because there are feelings that only fully reveal themselves when the other person is no longer available in the same way. Do you know what I think when I hear a message like this? I think that many people only understand the importance of a connection when they feel the emptiness it leaves behind. Not always out of malice, not always due to a lack of feeling. Sometimes because of emotional immaturity, sometimes out of fear, sometimes because the person believed they would have plenty of time to keep postponing what they felt. But silence shatters that illusion. Silence makes the person realize that perhaps not everything is under control. The angels show me that there is a restlessness growing inside this person, a kind of emotional discomfort that cannot be resolved with distraction, routine, or pride. They try to convince themselves that everything is fine, try to go about their day normally, try to rationalize what they feel. But at certain moments, the truth rises with power. And in those moments, it is you who comes to mind. It is your absence that weighs heavily. It is your energy that reappears. It is what remained unresolved that comes back asking for an answer. Perhaps you have wondered if this distance served to erase what existed. Perhaps on some days you even thought you were forgotten, that it lacked depth, that your absence caused nothing. But the angels say it did cause an effect, yes. And it caused more than this person would care to admit, because silence did not just open up space, it opened up consciousness. Take a deep breath for a moment. Place your hand on your heart and feel this message, because there is something very important you need to know right now. This person is beginning to look at themselves with more honesty. And this includes looking at their own mistakes, at the way they acted, at what they failed to value, and at the choices they made when they still did not understand the magnitude of this bond. The angels show nights of reflection, moments when this person tries to sleep, but the mind remains active, thoughts going back and forth, memories appearing uninvited, questions arising in the middle of the day, a strange feeling that something was left behind without truly being finished. And when this type of reflection begins, there is no going back to the previous state of superficiality. The soul has seen too much. The heart has begun to recognize too much. And do not think this happens only in the realm of longing. It goes beyond that. This person also begins to realize what your presence represented. The warmth, the way you listened, the energy you brought, the peace that existed in certain moments, the truth that was in the bond. A lot of things that seemed common became rare when compared to everything else, and this stirs them deeply. Now I want to ask you for something simple yet powerful. Write 777 in the comments as an act of agreement with this message and an opening for spiritual clarity to reach your life. And if this message is truly helping you and you feel it in your heart, you can contribute to this work through the video's QR code or through the donation link in the description and fixed comment. This gesture helps this word continue to reach people who are also in need of direction, comfort, and hope. The angels also show that this person has started to wonder if you still feel something, if there is still an open door, if there is still room in your heart. And I will tell you, when these questions begin to appear, it is because indifference has already lost its strength. No one questions themselves so much about someone who truly does not matter. No one revisits so much what has been completely forgotten. There is something there that remains alive, and this person is beginning to perceive it in a deeper way. But along with this perception comes fear. Fear of having gone too far. Fear that you have changed. Fear that your absence was a point of no return. Fear of reaching out and finding a woman much more aware of her own worth. And perhaps this is one of the great internal conflicts here. This person feels the weight of your absence, but also fears discovering that they lost the place they once occupied in your life. If you have ever gone through something like this, tell me later in the comments, because anyone who has lived through a connection marked by silence knows how much it stirs you inside. They know how sometimes what is left unsaid becomes a mirror, and this mirror shows truths that are hard to face. The angels want to deepen this message because there is an even more sensitive layer behind all of this. Your silence did not just make this person think of you. It also made this person think about themselves, to think about how they love, how they run away, how they protect themselves too much, how they ruin, out of fear, what could have been beautiful. And this is powerful, because true reflection does not just happen regarding the other person. It also reveals who the person is when faced with a real feeling. In my view, this is one of the deepest parts of all this, because when someone begins to see their own patterns, they can no longer sustain certain attitudes with the same tranquility. And that is what the angels show. This person is being forced to look at their own posture, their own pride, their own difficulty in feeling with truth. Silence brought this confrontation. Perhaps externally nothing has happened yet. Perhaps you have not yet received the message, the explanation, or the gesture you expect. But spiritually, emotionally, and internally, there is movement. And what I'm about to reveal to you can change your way of viewing this process. This time of silence did not just serve to make the other person think. It also served to reposition you, to strengthen you, to give you back presence, value, and discernment, because the angels do not just want to show you what is happening with this person, they also want to remind you of what is happening with you. You are learning not to chase after everything. You are learning to respect your boundaries. You are learning that feeling does not mean abandoning yourself. You are learning to let the other person also make their own internal journey, and that is emotional maturity. If you are listening to this at night in silence, perhaps thinking exactly about this person, I want you to feel that this message came to calm your heart. Not everything that is quiet is dead. Not everything that stopped on the outside has stopped on the inside. There are reflections that happen slowly, but when they mature, they change everything. If you are not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe and stay with us. Here, there is always a word of faith for when the heart needs to breathe. The angels show that this person is in a phase where small signs stir them deeply. An unexpected memory, a song, a word, a place, a time of day. Anything can trigger thoughts about you, and this does not happen by coincidence. It is because the connection remains active in the emotional memory and also on the spiritual plane. There is an invisible thread that still draws this person's attention, even when they try to seem distant. But there is still a part of this message that you need to understand. Reflection is not the same as immediate action. Thinking deeply does not mean acting fast, and this needs to be clear so as not to generate anxiety in your heart. The angels show sentiment, restlessness, and growing awareness, but they also show hesitation, fear, and an internal struggle. This person may be understanding many things now, but they still process it all with difficulty. I know it is not always easy to listen to this when the heart is tired, because those who feel want clarity, those who love want truth, those who wait want definition. But there are processes that mature inside before appearing outside. And sincerely, a truth that truly matures is worth more than a rushed and empty action. Real awareness is better than an impulse that cannot sustain itself. The angels ask you to take care of your energy during this period. Do not turn this message into anxiety. Do not use this to trap your heart in an expectation without peace. Use this to understand that there is movement, but that heaven's time does not need to be forced. Your part now is to remain centered, strong, and emotionally protected. There is great power in that. Write a list of people in the comments, including yourself, whom you would like to forgive. Visualize each one of them, send love, and say, I forgive you, and I release you. May peace be with you. Feel the lightness that this brings. The angels show that forgiveness will be important here, not only regarding the other person, but also regarding what you carried in silence. Perhaps you kept too many questions. Perhaps you swallowed too much sadness. Perhaps you tried to understand everything alone. And now heaven invites you to release some of that weight, because this person's reflection does not need to become a prison for you. The other person's process cannot steal your peace, and this is where many people realize something they could not see before. Sometimes, the silence that transforms the most is not just the one you offer to the other. It is the silence that returns you to yourself. It is within it that you hear what you truly want. It is within it that you realize what you accept, what you no longer accept, what you still feel, and what you have already overcome. So, besides provoking reflections in that person, this silence is also refining your own consciousness. The angels show me that you are less naive, more sensitive, and also stronger. It might still hurt, there might still be longing, there might still be hope, but there is something different about you now. There is more self-worth, there are more boundaries, there is more perception, and this changes the energy of the entire connection, because when a woman repositions herself within, the other person feels it, even without understanding, even without hearing a single word. The angels are sending you a special sign. Your lucky number for today is 8. Write in the comments, I receive the energy of the angels. My lucky number is 8, and I receive this message with faith. Number 8 arrives as a sign of inner strength, balance, and the return of what needs to be put in order. And I really like this energy because it speaks of firmness. It speaks of a woman who feels but does not lose herself, who loves but does not abandon herself, who listens to the message but remains standing with dignity, presence. There is something important happening behind this situation. This person is being led to recognize that your silence was not just absence. It was an answer. It was a stance. It was a mirror. And this mirror is showing them what used to be easy to hide. Your importance, the depth of the connection, and the discomfort of realizing that perhaps they hurt or lost something rare. The angels also show a growing desire to break this distance, even if this desire is accompanied by conflict. This person might rehearse a message, imagine a conversation, or revisit what they would say if they sought you out. And even when they do not act, there is already an internal preparation. The heart begins to build bridges even before the steps take place in the concrete world. Share this video with 2 dear people who need this message today. And if you can, also leave a prayer for your guardian angel in the comments. I truly believe that there are messages that do not just arrive for one person. They reach many souls at the same time, like a hug sent from heaven. So, if this video touched you, spread this light. Sometimes someone very close to you is going through the same kind of silence and needs to hear that not all absence means an end. Now, I want to tell you something very important. Like someone who sits close to you and speaks with affection, do not let the other person's reflection become more important than your peace. Yes, this person is thinking. Yes, this silence awoke depth. Yes, there is recognition growing, but your life cannot stop until the other person organizes their heart. The angels did not bring this message to trap you. They brought it to clarify and strengthen you, so keep taking care of yourself. Keep praying, keep valuing yourself, keep choosing yourself, because if this person returns, let them find a whole woman. And if they do not return in the time you imagined, let them still find you at peace with who you have become. This too is a spiritual victory. The angels conclude this message by saying that your silence was not in vain. It touched where words could no longer reach. It opened questions that this person did not want to ask. It awakened awareness, memory, longing, and truth. And even though the process is not complete, something has already changed. The reflection has begun, the heart has been touched, and when the soul begins to think with honesty, the future ceases to be the same. If this message spoke to you, write in the comments, my silence is in God's hands, and the truth will come at the right time. Share your experience, like this video, and subscribe to the channel for more messages like this. Thank you for being here with me. May God bless your life, and until the next video.